goal today isn't to get in trouble, but the goal today is to spit some truth. So here we go. How's everybody doing? Joe Morrison, 49SAF Pod. We sit down. We have a great, fun, awesome conversation with Jasmin Smith, who is the owner of the Business Boutique, who teaches entrepreneurial skills both to Alaskans at large. She also has a contract with one of the Anchorage correctional facilities. And she is the CEO and founder of BabyVend, which has received a lot of public attention, press. You know, just Google BabyVend Jasmin Smith, and you'll see stories from probably the Daily News, KTUU, KTVA, a variety of other news outlets. Listen, here's the thing. Talking to Jasmin, I'm not saying it opened up my eyes, because it didn't. Because I thought I was woke before this, and I wasn't. So I'm still probably not woke, as we like to say. But it did make me think differently. And so this is a fun interview, quite honestly. This interview's a blast. And we left darn near all of it in. You know, we're just cleaned up stuff in terms of, you know, ums and ahs and oohs and ows. But, you know, Jasmin speaking really made me think about what we're doing at the 49SAF and how we're doing it. And we're doing it even though the 49th State Angel Fund is a totally unique asset, right? I mean, your city, Anchorage, owns a venture capital fund of funds and empowers local managers to go out there and do deals. And yeah, we're doing it differently. And I like to think that we're good at it. And we have a committee of diverse people, from entrepreneurs to their skill sets to investors, to, yes, people of color and people of diverse backgrounds. You know, but the truth is, when you look at the numbers, in terms of opening up access to different groups of people, we're tracking right along with the rest of venture capital, which is to say, quite badly. We've done 32 deals, and at first blush, just the quickest look, the briefest, shortest, quickest first glance at the portfolio, 2 teams of immigrant entrepreneurs. That's great. We're proud of that. 1 team that are founders of color. I could be wrong. There could be data that I don't know. And last year we reported that 10% of our total capital that was deployed, maybe more, had gone out to women entrepreneurs, and 18% of the portfolio was women entrepreneurs. That still feels low to me, so I will go back and look at the numbers and look deeper. And I don't know what we're going to do about this, but I know that we're going to try to do something, because it's not okay. We can do better. So anyway, 25 minutes in, Jasmin Smith talks about Mountain View and things I don't know about Mountain View. 35 minutes in, she is frankly generous and open and talks about her struggles as a businesswoman of color and an entrepreneur of color. All right. So let's all go do good things. Let's all go forth, do great things. And this is, quite honestly, it's a fun interview. Let's listen to Jasmin Smith. Thanks, guys. We're here with Jasmin Smith.
Hello.
And the great Aaron Baca.
Hello.
And so tell us about Muldoon. Tell us about your drive. Tell us about your day.
Yeah, Muldoon?
Well, you said you couldn't make it to Muldoon.
Oh, yeah, the babysitter lives in Muldoon. So I figured, what the heck? Let's bring 50% of the twin duo and do our interview and pray she acts right.
Where is the other 50% of the duo?
So the other 50% is actually at drum lessons. So it worked out really good. I totally forgot that he had drum lessons. So it's a blessing in disguise. He's been drumming since he was 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
And whose idea was it to get this child a drum set?
My dishes, because he kept drumming on them. And it came natural, and I was tired of not having forks and spoons, so it just made sense. He's been drumming forever, so I got him in some lessons.
Awesome.
Take us through your day, Jasmine, because you've been going all out all day. You hustled to make it here. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Totally respectful of your time.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're lucky to have you here, and I'm glad you drove safe. But but tell us about
a typical day.
Give me today. Give me today.
Okay. So today, I'll start off at the beginning. I woke up at 8, got my kids ready for the day. I dropped the girl, I always say the girl and the girl off at Head Start. The boy was owed a boy spa sleepover day. He gets that once a week. So he went with the babysitter and had his sleepover day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, once a week we rotate kids, keep it fair. And then I went to the jail and I taught a class for 3 hours, left the jail, went and did my little entrepreneur show, left there, went to my office, met with a client, left that, coached my staff, left there, got my daughter, picked up the boy, took him to drum lessons, grabbed the girl, fed her, and made it here.
So, classes at the jail.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been doing it for like 3.5 years. We have a contract out there.
Mm-hmm. We being?
Well, me, Jasmine, but with the support of my team. So yeah, I've been out there for 3 years teaching at Highland. So I do like workforce development, computer classes, a few entrepreneur classes for the ladies.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. We do it through Illisovic College. So it's a contract that the business boutique has in the jail.
Okay.
And so we're going to need to break down a little bit of who Jasmine is and Jasmine's business interests today.
Oh, man. Okay.
And so I would like for you to lay out for us all your companies, all your deals, what you're up to.
Okay, I'm all thinking about this strategically. Yeah, so Jasmine, in terms of business, has the business boutique, which is business development, training, and consulting. We work with everybody, but we focus on disadvantaged entrepreneurs like women, minorities, refugees, people getting out of jail. So we do that a lot. We also have, naturally, BabyVend, which is the baby supply vending machine company that I started about 2 years ago and just finally got done. And then on top of that, I also do the Alaska Hip Hop and R&B Music Awards with Reggie Ward. And every year we put on an annual statewide Alaska Hip Hop and R&B Music Awards and pre-party and after-party and other community stuff. But those are my top 3. Yeah.
Those are your top 3 from a time out perspective, or those are your top 3 from an income to Jasmine's life perspective?
Income to Jasmine's life perspective. If I go into like the other things that we just do for fun, my daughter's laughing at me because she knows. Yeah. So yeah, I have a bunch of volunteer hats as well. That's the money stuff.
Okay. Because that's what I was going to say if I, follow you. We're friends. We're Facebook friends. And so you're always doing something.
I know.
It's kind of hard to track a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's really, for me, exciting to have you here and like pin down a little bit to learn more about all of your endeavors.
Yeah, I know. I look pretty busy. The average person. It's actually funny because it's like I'm kind of busy, but I have really good time management kind of. So I do have days when I'm doing absolutely nothing, and I love it like that. So
yeah.
I got the busyness from my mom. My mom was the same way, She was a single mom in the Army, but like when I was 3, she had me volunteer at Special Olympics with her. So I just kind of got that started. And then when I was 7, she made me get an after-school job at the library, shelving books. So I learned the Dewey Decimal System in and out. So volunteering and being busy, I literally got it from my mother, who worked 3 jobs and volunteered. So it just feels normal.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to do with myself when I have too much downtime. So entrepreneurship and volunteering and being involved just feels home to me. So it doesn't feel like work. It's fun. So I just really enjoy it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So is BabyVend under the business boutique?
It's not. It is a totally separate LLC. So BabyVend is actually its own company.
And Akaya's moving around and thinking about saying something, aren't you? Yeah? What are you going to say?
My mommy's beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah, she's pretty amazing,
thank you, baby.
right? So it's its own LLC. Who are the partners?
So it's me, Lisa Jamison, Don Pointer, who actually did all the designs, and then Kayla Green, who's kind of like our HR staffing person. So there are 3 of us right now, and we kind of hold it down. Or 4.
One machine, right?
So right now we have 3 machines, and we're in the process of getting more. So one machine is up and functioning, and it's wrapped. The other machine is getting wrapped, and it's going to go into Fifth Avenue Mall. And then the 3rd machine is getting wrapped, and that's going to be like our short-term traveling machine. But we're in negotiations. I can't say it all yet, but we're in negotiations for 10 more machines here in the state. We got super lucky, so we're excited about that because we have places for them to go.
So let me understand. We in my geeky world, we talk about customer validation. How do we know your geeky world
Right.
too? How do we know people are going to buy?
So you never really know at first. Our main thing is like we did a lot of like parent surveys, little parent focus groups before we go in an area. We literally walk around for weeks and we ask questions of like, what do you need? What are you looking for? We work with location management to determine what might be the popular product. And that's the tough part is like you never know what's going to be 100% popular till you get there. It varies with the location as well. So we did a lot of market research in terms of parents shopping, utilizing the locations and finding out what they thought they needed, and then trying to kind of put some pricing together that was profitable for us, but competitive to where the machine was going.
So did the idea start with just airports, or is that your primary?
So no, my goal is anywhere parents who travel are. So the idea actually started at the Fifth Avenue Mall when my son blew through his diaper, but I just realized there was a huge shortage of just anywhere parents move. So I think like as a parent, when you have little kids, you know that you pack a bag and the bag dictates how long you stay somewhere. When you kind of start stressing out, like the bag is like the whole trip. So our thought process was we should have these machines, and we're working right now on like sizes and like what to offer in like airports, hospitals, large malls, amusement parks, places that parents, if they forget something, they don't want to have to leave and go back to get it, or they can't go back and get it.
How are you going to do supply chain management when I can understand how you do it now.
Yeah.
But how are you going to do that when you get your first out-of-state mall or theme park?
So we're actually partnering with a company called Ventec, and they are, well, one of their bases is out of Jacksonville. So have you ever seen those Naturals to go machines? Yeah, so they have these Naturals to go machines and some other machines. So anyways, Ventec has won Franchise of the Year for like 6 years, and they were actually graceful enough to come alongside of us and mentor us. So they've been working with us and teaching us, you know, logistics, inventory, shipping, moving, how to manage your locations, training. So we've been relying on them heavily right now in terms of our processes, but they really helped us understand regional logistics and having like those hub centers and your price point. So we're going to rely on them when the time comes to get out of state locations, because we're getting a lot of requests. So we're trying to be diligent and make sure we have all of our areas covered. But I will say it's a big learning lesson. Like when I started this company, I never operated a vending machine. So I literally learned as I went, and I'm still learning. So yeah, that's kind of our goal. The other thing we're working on right now too is we've been partnering with some of those programs at UAA and some of those students, and we're literally being taught, you know, what it takes to actually move your machine, your supply with the machine. Another thing that we have that's very helpful, we use a technology called BabyVend. Mm-hmm. And BabyVend is a remote app where it helps us track, you know, when it's time to restock, when things are expired, if it's stuck. So that's been very helpful, letting us know when it's time to move our products and like kind of setting goals and planning.
She's doing awesome. She's doing good.
I'm trying.
No. She's doing good.
I am
pretty cute, Akaya. You're pretty cute. We all see you.
Yeah.
So BabyVend will tell you on a on-demand basis. Like it's got a sensor and it'll text you or email you.
Yeah, so it's literally an internet-based technology. Mm-hmm. And you can put in the machine how often you want to be alerted. It'll email you and it'll text you.
Wow.
So you set your inventory in the machine. It'll like, hey, heads up 1 week until product B7 expires or whatever the case is. Or, hey, you're at 7 items. You wanted us to alert you. Time to restock or, so it's pretty cool. It alerts us for everything.
I don't know if this is appropriate, but what kind of margins are you going to get out of this bad boy?
It depends on the machine. Oh, which one? For AirVend?
For BabyVend. Yeah.
I think it's going to depend on the machine, truthfully. Honestly, we've gotten requests for a few locations and I'm like, I can't see people using it a lot yet. Like I see some people getting more excited about it being there. So, I have some price point numbers. You have a good business plan, but I don't have a set margin for all locations because I recognize they're going to be different. But what I can say is working with this company, AirVend, they've been teaching us the ins and outs with pricing, having a good agreement in terms of some locations you make money strictly off of the inventory sales. Other locations you actually make money off of people paying to have your machine there. So we're kind of toying with both. So I have some projections for the airport in those locations, but it's going to vary. But right now I do believe our biggest location is probably going to be the airport, and we're working on the base. So I'm thinking those will be our top 2. So we're trying to be at Arctic Oasis.
Like the BX?
Yeah, so actually the Arctic Oasis, the family center on base, they have a lot of kids and families and they're always asking for supplies. And so, if we can work something out with them, they have family centers and those spots in every base. So that's our goal.
And tell us about your Mother's Day. And Akaya got an order to stop. We'll see how that does. But you can tell, you don't have to tell us about your Mother's Day. I might have seen a post or two.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. My Mother's Day, I tried to go support a friend at his restaurant. Awesome food and service. But my daughter decided to have a throw up spell. And me being a mom,
not you.
I literally caught it in my hands. Which is really weird because I'm not being weird about that, but it felt so normal. I just caught all her puke in my hands. And this really sweet lady next to me had the nerve to just say something to the effect of, oh my gosh, are you serious? I can't believe she let that happen. So I had to let her know. But lucky for her, I was not Jasmin 2.0 because I was at my friend's restaurant, but I had to let her know in a smart way. So something to the effect of, naturally, I chose for my daughter to throw up on me. Clearly, it is a highlight of my Mother's Day. So if you can't handle the good and the bad and the ugly of motherhood, you just stay home. And not so nice words. So.
And what restaurant were you at?
I was at Waffles and Whatnot. Shout out to Derek.
We're meeting up with him pretty soon.
Yes, that's the kids love Uncle Derek. So we went out there. So his restaurant was great. It was just this one lone sweet customer.
It's crazy how parenthood changes your relationship with bodily fluids. I would, normally stick my hands out to catch vomit, but if it were my nephew, I wouldn't even think about it.
It's weird, and I don't even do it now. I don't even drink after my kids, but I don't know. At that moment, it was 50%. Oh, my daughter, but then I was also oh man, I don't want people to see throw up on Derek's floor on Mother's Day. So I was trying to shield her, but the throw up, I guess. And then afterwards, I'm oh my gosh, I caught throw up.
You're pretty battle tested, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of having twins. You see it all. It's just another. I can't even tell you the bodily fluids I've had on me.
How old are the twins?
They're 4.
Okay. So pretty soon it's going to be kindergarten for you.
Yay! Yeah. Oh my gosh! Party time!
Mom's going to be able to breathe just this much.
If they let me. Party time!
All right, so BabyVend, business boutique. You've had the business boutique for several years.
Yes.
All right, and you've had BabyVend. You've been working on BabyVend hard. Now it's starting to roll out.
Yes.
What's this radio show thing that you're doing?
Yeah, so last August, I started doing a weekly, just real simple radio show on KONR Out North Radio. It's called The Business Mixer. And its premise is pretty simple. Interviewing entrepreneurs, again, our kind of underdog thing. Mm-hmm. Folks that you might not see every day or hear about every day running businesses. So it's an hour long, and I literally had to learn how to use all the equipment. And it's chugging along. It's fun. I like it a lot. It's pretty...
How often are the shows?
Once a week.
Okay.
Yeah, so once a week on Monday mornings. So I like it. We meet a lot of different entrepreneurs and do some on-air training, and It's like you do business mixing on the air, pretty much.
Go ahead, Aaron. Sorry about that.
Is there anything that's like that you've learned that you wouldn't have thought, like somebody you've learned about or something they've taught you on the show that just blew your mind?
Yeah, honestly, the thing that I get out of it, like, it's easy to have those, like, conversations where everything is hard skill based, but it's amazing, like, hearing their testimonies, what they've been through, and, like, how they manage their work life and personal. So, truthfully, I've gotten some really good strategies of just, like, coping and getting through rough times in business and, like, hearing from other folks that, you know, don't give up, it's going to be okay. And just strategies for success has been pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Like, I was actually surprised at how open and candid some of them get. Like, they really, like, tell all their soul in business. So I'm like, this is really cool. Like, they're talking to me, like, for real. So it's nice. It's like an outlet for some of them.
I feel like the common thing that most entrepreneurs have is, like, the story of their tail feather getting kicked in so deeply for so long.
I agree.
So I have a friend who started a tap room. He started this tap room, and he's bootstrapping it, and he's like created a crowdsourcing way to have multiple owners, to have like 12 owners, 24 owners, or whatever.
Whoa!
And they all work for the business, so they kind of work for tips. And he's worked really hard. Right. It took him a year or two to build it.
Right.
And he moves into a place. And God bless him, he doesn't get a lease. And in 2 months, after he's done all the tenant improvements, he's done, and they're flattening the building.
Right.
And then another story that we're going to hear on the podcast, probably we will have heard it before you speak, is one entrepreneur just nonchalantly said, like, yeah, I went without money for 9 months.
What?
And I said, oh, let's just, not I went without money, but the business went without money for 9 months. And I said, well, let's just stop and take a moment and talk about that.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not really, that's kind of serious. And it's so funny, too. It's like how some of the entrepreneurs are so, like, you kind of, like, nonchalant with it. I'm like, that's kind of serious. Like, tell me how you got through that. Because I'm sure somebody else would want to know. So I think it's, like, reminding folks that, like, if you go through something or you have a story or a testimony, could you share it maybe? Because somebody else might want to hear it or they might need to hear it. Yeah. You know, I think, like, sometimes there's that mentality of what entrepreneurship is supposed to look like and like what you're supposed to share and not supposed to share. But I'm a big believer in like, behind every business is a person who's running it. So tell me about the person because it's going to help me understand why you run it the way you run it. Because I might not get your, you know what I mean, your thought process or your psyche behind your decisions, but your story is big. That tells me where you got that from, where it came from, I guess, origin. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, I've always been really interested in that, like that, I don't know, maybe that's just me.
I have some great podcasts for you, if you...
I'm open, yeah.
Like what? Yeah. Tell us.
Oh, how I built that with Guy Raz. Okay. So, I just listened to Burton Snowboards today, which was pretty fascinating.
I'm open at listening and learning, so...
Yeah.
How I built that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there are, I mean... I've already harped on this by the time this will come out. I think there are a variety of unhealthy things that entrepreneurs do.
Right.
And that there are unhealthy aspects of the culture. And I understand, like, I get it.
Right.
I've asked the work-life balance question before. I understand that we're working all the time and we're going hard or going home. I get all that. But, you know, the concept, I'm not sure the concept of I'm impervious to all dense wounds and arrows is doing people any favors, because in their darkest moments they're going to have a really hard time going like, well, this is human, right, this is what it's supposed to be, because it really isn't the cover of Fortune or a glamour photo. It's not. It's not true. Supposed to be. It's supposed to take years, and you're supposed to really kind of bleed it out.
It's true. And honestly, like, that's a big thing with some people too, is like, you have to understand that's part of the game. So if you go into entrepreneurship not thinking you're going to struggle and not being patient and not being able to have those real talks with yourself, it sounds negative, but, you know, you're kind of doomed to fail or struggle. I mean, it's just like, and there's sometimes too where, like, I don't know, even in my business, like, there's been times when I'm like, oh, that was really dumb, but I did it to myself. And how do I either get out of it or not do it again, you know? So I don't know. I kind of feel like entrepreneurship takes more interpersonal skills that people like give it credit for, I guess. I don't know. It's just been my experience.
And vulnerability. Just constant vulnerability
I think it's a little deeper than they realize, but I'm like, it took me years to grasp that too. I'm like, this is not for the faint of heart, but it's also not like you're saying like this just overnight get rich quick, everything is magical. It's some real stuff happening behind the scenes, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are my two if I had pet peeves, and I probably could find 3 or 4. One is you've got to be, why aren't you a success yet?
Right.
Okay, like it's good to push and it's good to push hard, but realistically it takes, I don't know, if you're going to build a solid business, at least 6 or 8 years, if not a decade or more. And then the second thing is we're all impervious.
Right.
Like we're just made of just iron and nothing stops us. Well, it's probably not true.
Right.
But I've already talked about it. So, Jasmin, let me ask you something. Tell me, like, everybody knows you.
Uh-huh.
Everybody knows Jasmin Smith.
Yeah, kind of.
But we had like a casual conversation once where we were like, you are and you are not Mountain View Jasmin.
Right.
What does this mean?
Yeah, that's actually my favorite topic. So this is the thing, like, sorry, I had a mom moment. So I am originally, and it cracks me up, I'm originally from Eagle River. I went to Eagle River Elementary. I went to Gruning Middle School, and I graduated from Chugiak High School.
Did you have a cowboy hat?
No, I did not.
Yeah, because I didn't do all that. Chugiak had a cowboy hat.
I was still down for the culture, even though I was at Chugiak. So I'm still pretty Eagle River. I go out there. I'm a Bear Paw person, Eagle River Chamber person. So that's a big part of who I am. Like, that's what made me. So I always joke, Eagle River made me, Mountain View claimed me, right? But when I grew up and I became an adult and of age, I moved into Mountain View because I love the neighborhood. I love the people. I felt at home. Like, you hear bad things on the outside, but like when you live there, it's like the bombest place to live. I have great neighbors. I love it. But who I am is way bigger than just Mountain View. I had businesses before I lived in Mountain View. I went to rural Alaska a lot. My family's from the South. So I love the neighborhood. It's my home. I'm on the community council. But yeah, I remind people like I'm not limited to that. So sometimes what'll happen is like we get invited places and we do things and it's like, welcome Mountain View Jasmin. That's a huge part of me. I love it. But I was doing a lot of stuff before I lived in the neighborhood. And, my love for our demographic and what I do isn't limited to a neighborhood. Like I really want to see the underdog and people win. People of color stand up in your communities, all that stuff. But, we have a need in Southside, Midtown, Fairview. Like with me, if I leave my neighborhood, I still have Black women's struggles no matter what neighborhood I live in. So I recognize that there are people that have struggles and needs in other parts of town. So I love my neighborhood, but yeah, I'm not limited to that. We've done a lot of other stuff outside of it, and Business Boutique works all over the city and the state. So yes, Chugiak High School graduate, 2004. I went through the whole Eagle River experience. So it's funny. Everyone's like, did you go to Bartlett or East? I'm like, actually, I went to Chugiak. Like, oh, did you go to Clark? I'm like, no, I went to Gruning. Like, Mountain View Elementary, William Tyson. I'm like, no, Eagle River Elementary, pretty Eagle Riverin. So it's funny. People are like, I didn't realize that about her. But yeah, I'm an Eagle Riverin.
I can only sort of understand this as a transplant. So
yeah,
it's always when people meet other people from Anchorage, they don't care what college you went to. They don't care what high school did you go to. And I don't know the inferences that are drawn from those questions, because to me, Bartlett versus service.
It's a neighborhood thing. Like it's just different. And Joe, you've been here. Like it's just different when you are from a Mountain View or a Fairview. You have a different level of loyalty and backstory and history you're supposed to have. So like that mentality is still very much so. People don't go to Mountain View by choice. There's a reason you're there. You got dropped off there. You're there passing through. They don't think that people could choose to be there. So to them, and I get it, they think that I have to have a historical tie there. Otherwise, why would I be there? My parents had to be there. I had to go to school there. Why do you care? And I'm like, historically, I don't have any ties to Mountain View. I chose to move there because I love the neighborhood that much. And when I moved there, it felt home. But
I think it's actually super cute there. I did a lot of canvassing for
I love it. Come be my neighbor. Just come on over. Everyone just come live next to me.
I mean, and I don't know if this is podcast appropriate, but I think about like the like gentrification and like I when thinking about where, and I live in Fairview, so
right, okay, so you kind of
when thinking about where I was going to live and by my house, like Mountain View was top of my list because I could afford to live there and have a yard and have a cute little house, but I don't know. So that's another conversation.
No,
it doesn't need to be on the podcast at all.
No, I totally get it.
And we'll probably put it all on the podcast.
Okay, all right. As he's watching,
we're already putting the throw up on the podcast, so let's just put it all in there.
No, but I'm mindful of that, and you have very strong advocates for Mountain View, yourself included, and Kirsten Swan, and people who are super passionate about living there, and I don't know, I liked walking around and speaking Spanish. Like,
I know
there's not a lot of places in Anchorage I get to do that.
And actually, before I lived in Mountain View, I lived in Fairview. Like when I first came to Anchorage, so I get both of it. I don't know. They felt like home to me. Like I just can't imagine really living anywhere else. Like I don't know. Mountain View is home, but I go other places. like that. Like I love it. It's home, but I do go other places and do stuff for other areas. So we never want to give that misconception that like Jasmin only helps Mountain. You're like, nah, we help everybody that, is identified as they need it. Like, that's what we're about. We want to empower whatever your neighborhood is, wherever you are, or whatever your group is. If you need help, that's what we do, know? So that's just important for me to be known.
So I haven't been to Mountain View in a while, like probably a year plus. What? Give me your top 5. Why Mountain View? Whatever. What do you love? What are you into?
Number 1, I know all my neighbors. And they look out for each other despite what the media makes you think. Number 2, kids play outside all the time. Number 3, we have a low use of the internet. A lot of people still don't have internet at home or computers, and I actually love that because that makes for authentic communications. And like, I feel like I live in the 90s there, and I love it. I feel like a kid. Like you see 8 million bikes on the sidewalk. Number 4, naturally the culture. I have neighbors from everywhere. On the left side of me, I have neighbors from, American Samoa in the back and then Puerto Rico in the front. And then on the other side of me, I have neighbors from Egypt in the back and then the village in the front, right? So we have the culture. And number 5, of course, the food. In a short radius, I could eat any ethnic area of whatever I want, and I have red apple.
No. More on the food. No, more on the food, please.
Okay. Like, if you they not everybody advertised in Mountain View, but man, like the food, I mean, like between West Berlin and going over to Houlihan's, and then like even on Mountain View Drive, there's some great Hmong shops. I mean, there's some other Samoan food shops. And then when you go to Red Apple, I can get like pig feet and all that kind of stuff that I'm not going to get at Cars in the neighborhood. So I'm like, Jamaico's is over there. Like, I love it. Like, we have some great food options and cultural options in the View. I love it.
What is this Jamaico's of which you speak?
Jamaico's has been in the neighborhood for like 45 plus years. They make great pizza, great pasta, great sandwiches, and they have this cool backwards pizza mentality where all the toppings are under the cheese, which makes for a less messy pizza. It is so good. I love it.
Huh.
Shout out to Jamaico's. Come eat over there. Like, let's do lunch.
Okay, so now from, conscious of my privilege. I'm going to ask the question. Okay. You can smack me down.
Okay.
If I don't ask, then we're never going to move forward.
Let's talk. Let's do this.
You talked about Black women struggles. Mm-hmm. Now, you don't just get those. You also have self-employed struggles and mom entrepreneur struggles.
Yep.
I have none of these struggles. Tell me about some of them.
Well, I'm open with it. I don't mind the question at all. Anybody knows me, I am very open with that. So Anchorage is awesome in terms of small business and opportunities and resources. We are awesome in terms of talking about all the great cultures that we have in terms of diversity. We're not very good at inclusion. So when you are a woman entrepreneur, you see more struggles. When you're a woman of color, you see more struggles. And examples of that is like, having to over-justify, what you're talking about for a client. Having to over-negotiate why you think you're worth a certain amount per hour when everybody else charges that amount times 2. Or, applying for a grant and your application is turned down, but somebody goes and applies the exact same thing on your behalf and they get approved. So yeah, you have to work twice as hard to prove yourself, and it's a never ending struggle, and I'm gonna keep doing it because I love it, but I don't think I would be doing Anchorage and any other entrepreneurs of color any favors by pretending there's not a problem and disparity. Like, you can have the best credit in the world, you still don't get funding. And these are very real things that is not limited to just me. I'm just one that's willing to be vocal about it and just say it. And we have these conversations a lot behind closed doors here. But, my style is I want people to know it's very difficult. So that's why you don't always see as many entrepreneurs of color, because not everybody, like you said, has that thick skin to understand it's going to be hard. But for us, it's going to be a little bit harder, and you got to see it through. For some of us, it's easier to just say, forget this, I'll get a job. But with me, I really believe in entrepreneurship and I want to see it through. But it is definitely hard, little things, going into a meeting sometimes and you're not even always acknowledged. But again, folks mean well, so you have to have these conversations. So I'm totally cool with you asking me, because I feel like it's real. And yes, it does happen in Anchorage. People don't believe that, but it does, and it's very real. So you gotta let it be out there and just say exactly what it is.
Well, I think we like to think of ourselves as slightly more progressive.
Mm-hmm. We are.
Whether I don't know if it's true or not. How are we and how are we not?
We're awesome at saying how different everybody is. I think Anchorage is great at diversity. Like, everybody's different. Yay. Most diverse city. Hooray. But we're not good at inclusion. And inclusion is that next step that's after diversity. So after I say we're all different, do I include those people? Do I hire them? Do I lend to them? Do I look at them for gigs when they come? Do I trust them as much as their predecessors who might be a female or whatever the case is? So we're good at diversity, but we're not good at inclusion.
Yeah, I'm gonna look through the fund and I'm gonna think about whether we have
look at it
a founder of color. I know we have at least one founder.
Yeah,
of color.
I know one that you have.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Well, isn't what you call it? Oh God, I'm having a moment. She's gonna beat me up now. Eleanor, isn't she? Not Eleanor.
Well, she's just straight up on our team.
Okay, I love her.
Yeah, we didn't fund her.
Gotcha.
And I'm thinking, and I know we have one,
but see,
we have 32. We funded 32
right. What's
companies.
that percentage though?
We funded 32 companies. Now I know the women is high.
Okay.
But I'm just processing here. Now of course thank God. We've invested in ACLT. We should talk a little bit about that. ACLT is going to put capital on the street, so this will change. But as I sit here and I think about it, and maybe you can tweet at me if you hear this and say, Joe, what's that number? And I'll tell you the number because I'll review our deals. Gotcha. It's real interesting.
And the thing too is and sometimes they have this thing called institutionalized, where you don't mean to create a barrier, but it kind of becomes one. So if you look at your numbers and you say, dang, only 5% are people of color, the next step is asking why. And it's kind of uncomfortable, but maybe going to those groups or the ones that have applied, maybe ask them, what was the process like for you? Maybe, I don't know, it was a crazy application. So maybe the next step after you look at it and find out how many firms of color are we giving money to? If you realize that it's low, then the next step is the why, and asking yourself, when in the process did we start losing them? You know what I mean? And then how can we get them back? Is it they're not even applying? Then that's a whole nother beast. Or they're applying, they're not getting picked. Why? And it's uncomfortable. I mean, it is, but it's so real to just ask, what can we do? And that's when sometimes you might be like, we did our part. Let me tap into these diverse communities and ask them directly, hey, because we all talk to each other a lot. We compare notes and have conversations like, what's happening in your world? So it's just, food for thought. It's something worth doing.
For sure. And we will, no question. Lending wise, so I'm thinking about the equity side. Mm-hmm. And theoretically, that's us. And there are, piping up, I shouldn't talk this much, but I'm going to. So the first thing is there are hurdles that exist that aren't fair.
Exactly.
Right? Like educational hurdles, background hurdles, arguably cultural hurdles, where, like, for instance, a good example is some people can't write business plans.
Right.
Well, guess what? If you can't write a business plan, it's going to be really hard some days, depending on who's talking to you, to get money.
Right.
But there's only certain people who have had the time, the education, the patience, or the opportunity to learn how to write a business plan. Right. Do you find that do you find that there is better opportunity on the lending side, on getting a loan, on getting credit evaluated?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. She's like, whoa, like I'm just so real. No, it's probably even worse on that side because, again, like you mentioned some of those things, credit and, and that's normal, credit and taxes and all that kind of stuff. And those are things that makes me happy that like Business Boutique, we can help with that. We have the trust where we can have those real conversations, but other barriers just might maybe be how you look. Like you might walk into the bank and not look like what they think you should look like, or they can choose not to lend to you. Like I had one client, can't say names, but he had great credit, very good credit. He did not miss a beat, but he still couldn't get lending. And when he tried to get an explanation why, it wasn't really clear.
On a personal basis or for a business?
It was for his business loan because he told me after the fact, he's like, I don't understand. I pay my bills, I do this, but when I went in there, all they could say was, you don't match what we're looking for to give money to. So it's the same in lending. I think this whole concept of capital is a struggle all across the board. And thank God we have like ACLTs in those places that are trying to lend. Hold on, boo-boo. So it's not even just saying we're going to lend to you. It's saying we're going to lend to you and then be a little bit more understanding and flexible with how we determine it. And that's why I love working with Kirk and them, because it's not just credit based. It's not just business plan. It's a little bit of that backed with relationships to understand maybe you're missing an area. I want to understand why. And from there, I can tell you if it's legit, it's not your fault, or I get all that, but you got to fix it. And I think there needs to be a little bit more of that in diverse communities of like, not just straight laced. Cause like even in my family, we didn't even talk about credit growing up. It just, cause you know why we didn't need credit? Because we were told banks aren't going to trust you and you don't trust the bank and you put your money in the backyard. You know what I mean? So naturally we're at a disadvantage. So I can't count how many elders that I know in this town that are amazing. And we did a workshop on credit. They hadn't even looked at their credit because we never did that. So you're 50, 60 with no credit. You're not less than. We just grew up saying if you don't have the money, you have no business going for it. But then you find yourself in an entrepreneurial state where, oh, it's different now. I do need the money. So how do you get caught up? Or maybe you finish school in 6th grade. You don't know what a financial projection is. You pay your bills and you got it. But you know what I mean? So how do you take those and explain to lenders and folks who have the money, I'm a little bit behind in some areas. It doesn't make me less reliable or less than. I just need you to understand I got some other stuff that I need you to work with me on. But when you work with me on it, I'm going to be a great person to give money to after the fact.
All right, so we've talked about Strife. I'm waiting to see if Erin's going to pipe up.
No, Erin's like nodding, like, what? No, and I'm like totally cool with it. I'm like, I'm just so used to the conversation. I'm like, hey.
Well, like, have the conversation or don't, right?
Yeah.
Better, best of all is do something.
Right.
But if you're not doing something, at least have the conversation and know.
Yeah, awareness is
rather
key.
Rather than walk around it. Well, we've talked about Strife. Here's a fun question I never ask, ever. By the way, everybody, you can't see this, but Jasmine and Erin are tying Akaya's shoes right now. It's pretty funny. Tell me about your best day as an entrepreneur. This is a question I never ask. I always ask the worst day, but I want to hear about your worst day.
Oh, my gosh.
Because we've already talked about the different challenges you face. Tell me about your best day as an entrepreneur.
Honestly, okay, I'm going to do 2 best days. My pre-kids best day. Honey, that is enough. Okay?
Thank you.
We done. Thank you. Anyways, so yeah, my pre-kids best day and my post-kids. So my post-kids best day was when I did really good and I got my contract with the Department of Corrections, and I was very proud of myself for that and being able to go into school and like pay off their daycare bill outright. I felt like I was balling out of control. So I came in and I'm like, hooray, entrepreneur mom here paying my kids' bill in full. I was proud of myself for that one. That was like a small win for me. My best day before I had my kids in business was probably when I was doing a workshop in Georgia. And one of the elders there came to my class, and she basically just said, "Hey, I see the work that you're doing. I'm proud of you. Keep going." And that made me feel really good. I mean, it wasn't money related, but like knowing what they saw me and they like gave me a shout out and told me to keep going, I felt very, very proud. So yeah, those are my 2 best days. One financial based and one just situational, just proud of myself.
It's almost like those pivotal moments that you can point to. Those pivotal moments that you can point to, that changed the course of the rest of your life or gave you that extra boost that's going to carry you through.
It felt really good. I'm like, dang, this elder saw me and she told me to keep going, so I got to keep going and I'm doing good. That validation felt nice, it felt really good.
I think, you also met with Nick of WeFunder when he came into town.
Yeah, Nick was really cool.
And we talked a lot about the value and importance of being seen and heard. And I think, I don't know, I actually just wrote an email to this effect, but like you can talk to people and when they're listening to you, but there's a difference between feeling heard.
Right.
And all it takes sometimes is for one person to look at you and say, no, you've got something. Yeah. You're important, you're valuable, or what you have is valuable to like keep going and change the direction of your entire life.
That's the truth. Like that's very true. I don't have much to add to that. That's just, I feel that.
Oh, well, I got 2 more questions.
Okay.
Okay, I remember what the last one is. Oh, yeah. Let's give you a magic wand.
A magic wand?
You get 1 wish.
Okay.
And you get to fix Anchorage.
Okay.
You can fix it about anything.
Okay.
Anything. Your magic wand.
Oh, man. Okay.
Magic wand.
Magic wand.
I got a magic wand, and I can fix anything about Anchorage. If it were up to me, I would. Gosh, there's so many things. Okay. Anything? I'm really thinking about this. What can I fix about Anchorage? I'm on the cusp of crime, which is my like civic-y side, and like somehow working that out. And then I'm also on the cusp of, I don't know, inclusion, but business opportunities inclusion. Oh, that's hard. Like I want to lower crime, and I love my wand to help that. But on the flip side, I would love my magic wand to create more opportunities and like fix our institutional barriers that we have, because that is deep. But one of those, it's so deep. What kind of answer does everyone else say? I'm all like activism answers.
Yeah.
I know I've asked this question before. I'm just kind of drawing a blank on what people say, though.
I know, like
I feel like if you fixed the institutional
I want to fix institutional barriers.
Then that helps fix crime.
Yeah, there would be no institutional barriers. Like people could just walk up in a bank or walk up in wherever and just have that chance to have equal access without whatever your personal thing is. We would just bippity boppity boop it away, and it wouldn't be there. I don't even know. Like I don't know. To me, I feel like we have some of that in Anchorage, and I don't want that. Like that would make me very happy. That's my thing.
Well, go fix it.
I'm working on it.
All right, just go fix it.
Well, I'm just gonna fix it. I'm just gonna do it tomorrow. I'm like, baby steps, right, honey?
All right, final question.
Okay.
This one's the toughest.
Uh-oh.
What delicious, silly pop song are you gonna listen to on the way home?
Me and my kids have been listening to Old Town Road right now. The kids and I are really on our Billy Ray Cyrus.
No.
You were singing Old Town Road. What else was it? Or Justin Timberlake? I got the feeling. Is it? There you go.
And I think that is the end of the story. Thank you, Akaya. All right, Joe Morris and Aaron Baca, Jasmin Smith. Take us out, Jasmin.
Have a good day. Be awesome. Do great stuff. I don't know. Shake up things.
All right, Akaya, thanks for your singing.